All right. Hello, everyone. Just before we get started with our focus problem today, just a quick FYI. Just so you know, there is a test on Friday. I'm not canceling that. So I know it's been a little tricky with me not being there, but you're still going to take that test. So this is what I recommend. Do your best on your work. Today should help because you're should help. Moving away from the visuals, hopefully yesterday showed that it's a little bit easier to do. This today we'll do a little bit of visuals so you can make the connection, and then we'll just do kind of like regular division that we've been doing all year. So hopefully that helps. But just so you know, the test is still on Friday, regardless of what happens on when whether or not I return or not. Okay. All right. Let's go. So this is our first focus problem. Kaylee has a jar of quarters. She counted the money in the jar and she found that there were $6. How many quarters does Kaylee have? First thing I need to think about is what is a quarter in decimal form? And I'm going to go ahead and write it down for you just so we're on the same page. It is 0 and 25 hundredths. That is a quarter. That's how much it's worth, 25 cents. So then I think to really help me understand how this problem works, I ask myself, how many quarters are in a dollar? Well, here's my visual right here. $1 equals 4 quarters. So if you have 4 quarters in a dollar, that means if I have $1, that means I have 4 quarters. Okay. If I have $2, that means I have 8 quarters. $3 is 12. $4 is 16. $5 is 20. And $6 is 24 quarters. So Kaylee has 24 quarters. Okay. Now, let me go back to let me just write down this for you all real quick. And I just want you to think about this. Okay. So that means that 6 divided by, now remember, we are breaking up the 6 quarters, the $6. That is what's being broken up. So when we're dividing and have a decimal involved, we can't just go, okay, big number, little number. No, you have to ask yourself, what is being divided first? And in this case, it is the $6. And those $6 are being split up into 4 quarters. So I have 6 divided by 25 hundredths equals, now I want you to think about this real quick, equals 24. Now I want you to think real quick. Now, wait a minute. When I divide, the number gets smaller. I've learning that since 3rd grade. I've seen it. It gets smaller. I put a division symbol in, my answer is smaller. This is where decimals kind of trip you up a little bit. So remember when we multiplied 2 decimals, it made a smaller number? When you divide by a decimal, it makes a larger number. Because the reason why that is, if you look at the images of the dollar and the quarters, it's because that $1 is being cut into 4 pieces. And those 4 pieces are being represented by the 4 quarters. So I count the number of quarters or the number of pieces. It just means that those pieces are broken up into smaller than 1 whole. Okay, since the piece is less than 1 whole, that means there's going to be more pieces. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to show you how to do it old school. Let me clear all this off. Clear. Go to the next slide. Okay. So now I'm going to show you how to do it kind of the computation way. Now you saw it visually. Now this is how probably 90% of you are going to do it. Now, if you get a problem like this and you just draw a square, and then you put 4 circles outside that square, those circles represent the quarters, you count the quarters, guess what? You'll get it right every single time. Or use inverse multiplication. You know that there's 4 quarters in $1, 6 times 4 is 24. But let me show you how to do it the old-fashioned way. So we have 25 hundredths on the outside, 6 on the inside. Notice I put a space in between the 6 and my big 7. When the decimal is on the outside, or when the decimal is the dividend, that's when it gets tricky, okay? So remember before, when the decimal wasn't on the inside, we ignored the decimal, and then we applied it once we answered the problem. If the decimal's on the outside, we have to go ahead and deal with it now. And basically what we do is we move the decimal that's here all the way until we create a whole number. So instead of having 25 hundredths, I now have the number 25. But what I do on the outside, I have to do on the inside. So I'm going to take, so the decimal would be here with my 6, and I'm going to move it, since I moved it 2 places on the left, I move it 2 places on the right. And then 1, 2. And then I just fill in those gaps with zeros. Don't forget, 0 is still our hero, even in division. So now, just like now, I'm just doing 600 divided by 25. So now what I'm going to do is, all right, so now I'm going to do my bag of tricks like I always do. So let's see, 25 times 100, 25 times 50, 25 times 10. Ooh, I think I'll use that one. Ooh, I forgot 20. Don't forget 20. 25 times 10, 25 times 5. And then 25 times 1. All right, so now I'm going to go in and fill this out. 25 times 1,000, 2,500. 25 times 50. Now, this is how you're like, man, 25 is tough. That's hard to do in your head. Think about this. 4 quarters equals $1. That means 25 times 4 is 100. Add another 25, it is 125. So that would be 1,250. All right, and then 25 times 2, well, that's 500. Yep. 25 times 10 is 250. And then 125 and 25. All right, so there's my bag of tricks filled out, ready to go. Now it's time for my favorite part, the actual division. So then I look at my bag of tricks. I'm like, well, I can't use you, you're too big. I can't use you, you're too big. So I have 500. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my 500 under my 600, get my subtraction symbol in place. Don't forget to put my 50 on the, not 50, put my 20 on the outside, then I subtract, and I get 100. Well, I could use the 25 if I wanted to, but I kind of already spoke what I'm going to use earlier already. I know that 25 times 4 is 100. So I'm just going to use 4, 100, subtract, and my hero, the 0, comes back. Remember, when we divide with decimals in 5th grade, you got a remainder, you got it wrong. So just keep that in mind. 6th grade, they'll show you how to deal with the remainder in decimals. But in 5th grade, we don't worry about the remainder. So if you see like you got like remainder 1, remainder 7, you need to back up and do it again. All right, so I take my 20 and my 4, add it together, and get 24. All right. That is it for our first problem. The next screen, make sure you have all of this written down in your notebook. Don't just sit there and chill out and think that, oh, it'll just click with you. That's not how this works. So remember, we learn by doing. When you do it, you learn it. All right. I will show you the next problem here in just one moment.